Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. Oh my gosh, we're back.
It feels like it's been a while.
We're back, baby.
We can even call it the TB&J podcast because I haven't done a podcast in like fucking 6 weeks.
Yeah. So with me today is my co-host Troy Brittingham.
And across from me is Jeff Ackerman.
Woohoo! And with us from Washington, Chris Carroll. How are you, motherfucker?
Which Washington is it? Ooh, I'll never tell.
Not the Dan Snyder one. That's an NFL reference. I just realized that maybe one person here would get that.
I thought you meant the Nickelodeon weirdo.
No, that's Dan Schneider.
Okay.
Slightly different. And with us here, special guest, my lovely fiance, Red.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You're not here so you don't get fined. You're here because you asked to be, because we saw Avatar: The Way of Water, a.k.a. Avatar 2. And my fiance actually saw Avatar when she was in 6th grade and really enjoyed it. I didn't see it at all because I heard about it and decided I hated it. And then we went and saw Avatar 2 because we thought it was a great idea.
I was going to ask, actually, if you had
Jeff, you
seen
could
it
say that about
before.
most things that you've not seen.
That's a fair point. But, theme song! TB&J! TB&J!
Also, Red, you don't need to respect the theme song. We usually do not.
My roommate did it. I've never respected the theme song.
Yeah, no, it's...
For the record, I can only hear like a fifth of the theme song because, you know, I'm on a video call. Or voice call.
Whatever it is. So we saw Avatar 2, The Way of Water, and the way we do things around here at the TB&J podcast is we give all of our films and TV shows a rating of a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and then we dive into it and give it a more specific letter grade at the end of the episode. So we will start off with the thumbs, and we'll start with special guest Red. How did you feel about it?
It's a thumbs up, but only barely. I'm
Cool.
gonna be honest.
Save it for more. Troy.
I'll go thumbs up. I think I'm in a pretty similar boat. And
Chris.
this boat's on a lot of water because the movie has a lot of water.
I'm a thumbs up. I actually really, really enjoyed this.
Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for the unanimous decision? Because it's not coming, because I'm a thumbs down.
What a shocker.
So...
Ever the contrarian.
We also try to begin our discussion of the movie with things we liked about it.
Sure.
As the sole thumbs down, I will say I enjoyed that the plot of the movie was not simply Pocahontas,
Sure.
like the first one was. I liked that the plot was it was easy enough to follow. I didn't get lost.
Yeah, it was still basic, but it wasn't like there was like there was a little bit more to it.
Yes, there was a little bit more to it, and there was like this conflict within Jake of like running away versus facing your problems because he really cares about this family he has now and all 5 of his little fucking kids, and great. Awesome. It was also visually stunning because it's
Sure.
Avatar.
It's one of the best looking movies in the last
There's a shot
since
where,
probably Avatar.
There's a shot where one of the kids is like riding on the whale thing, and he's holding onto the fin, and he's going through, and it's like an upside down shot, and then it corkscrews to right side up, and it's a really nice looking shot. A lot of this movie looks really good. Some of this movie looks really bad, but I'll get to that later. Troy, what did you like about this film?
I do like how the original Avatar. There's a lot of like there's a big meme going around of people just being like, name any Avatar character that's not Jake Sully, and people were not able to do it very often.
No, 'cause they all have weird names.
Natiri is the other one that people could come up with. This one, there's a little bit more like, because they sort of focused as them as like a family unit.
They say their names enough.
Well, that, but also like you didn't see the first one. These are more. They're definitely more more characterized in this one than they were in the last one. They're definitely more of like I cared about the characters a little bit more in this one than I did the first one.
They did a better job developing the characters they put on screen.
Yeah, like Natiri's probably pretty good in the first one. She's really not that huge in this one until the end.
Who is she?
Yeah.
She's the wife.
Zoe Saldana's character?
Yes.
Yes.
All the action is incredible. I think that every action scene is really good.
There was a little too much Michael Bay in this movie. Anytime a vehicle touched something, it exploded.
Sure. The first one also does that, though.
that seems ridiculous. This is way into the future. You're not driving around Ford Pintos on the street. They should not combust as soon as they touch something.
Also,
Yeah, this isn't Halo the TV show.
Yeah, Chris, way to roast a TV show we did last year.
Also, my my number one plus, my biggest plus is I love the crab mechs. The crab mechs are the number one
I
thing.
thought those were so
I
silly.
fucking love the crab mechs.
Do you love them ironically?
It's kind of both. I do like them, but also it is also slightly ironic.
Because, like, I saw those things walking out of the ship, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. It's actually a crab.
I do think that the technology in general is a little more inventive in this one than the last one. The last one, everything looked like a Halo Pelican.
Yeah, it did. And the characters,
Yeah.
they had few of them in this movie. But I remember watching trailers of the first movie when I was in high school, and they were, like, just in those mech suits that just made you the same size as the Na'vi. And I was like, that seems really weird and lazy. Why is it open? Why didn't you protect yourself more? Why are you just literally wearing stilts and you have like weird extendo arms? That just seems like such a stupid concept.
They had like an actual.
I mean,
armored
they have a cockpit. It's not just like exposed to the
do
open
need
air.
They still like haven't fixed the thing where this is like 10 years after.
No,
the
they
first
are
Avatar.
exposed to the air because in this one the general has a cup of coffee in her mech hand and she's drinking it.
Yeah, but the ones that they fight.
Yeah,
in
they're in
aren't
their
those ones.
city.
They have like a battle shell.
Yeah.
Humans can't breathe Pandora's air.
Right.
Except in the cities.
Right.
Which they address because the Avatar people do need to breathe in the city. They have their own rebreathers.
Right.
I will also point out that they need to start investing in some some arrow-proof shielding. They every single time somebody shoots through a piece of glass, I'm just like, how have you not tried to rule out arrows yet?
Well, in defense of that, it is difficult to make glass for a cockpit that is resistant to arrows and bullets because the thicker you make the glass, the more refraction there is, and the harder it is to navigate.
Right.
Because you can't see things as clearly.
Also, it's year 3000 something.
I mean, yes. In the year 3000, they should have ultra-thin bulletproof glass that they can put in a cockpit. Sure. But, from experience, the thicker the glass, the harder it is to see through directly. Because cockpit glass is curved.
Let's not get too taken away from.
I'm trying to bring real science into this, and I'm sorry.
I was going to say
that's my bad.
I was going to say we can get back to this. Let's continue the good stuff first, though.
Yes.
Because that's nothing.
So that was your big. That was your big points, Chris. What's your biggest good things about this movie?
So a thing that they've continued since the last movie is that they do a lot of world building, which I really, really appreciate and enjoy. And they've kept that up through this movie by expanding on the different tribe, as well as all the new stuff that the Earth government brought to Pandora as they try to settle it. Mm-hmm. And just going into and exploring the world of Avatar is something that I really enjoy, and it's probably my favorite part of these movies.
I will say, if you take away my negatives that we'll get to, Pandora seems like a pretty well-written planet. I mean, I enjoyed my time on the planet, looking at it and all the flora and the fauna and all the ways the tribe interacts with it. I think the hair connecting thing is weird, but it's also unique, and I've never seen that before.
This movie is bad because there's no hair sex in this movie at all.
That is an excellent point. There was a really good segue into tentacle porn they could have taken at any point in any of this, and it just wasn't utilized.
Mm-hmm. Never once.
They still connect to the animals, and that could be depending on how you look at it.
You could take some manner of bestiality angle in there somewhere.
They said that the whales are smarter than there's intelligence there.
They said the whales are way smarter than people, and they have their own music and philosophy and mathematics. And I'm like,
oh, and their brain juice gives you immortality.
Yeah,
that was an interesting thing that they said, and then
never mentioned.
Let's keep doing positives. Let's go to the person who's the
this
most positive.
This tube is worth $80 million. Catch. What the fuck was that?
Let's do positive before we get to negatives, because I have things to say about that, man.
I've got so many fucking negatives about this movie. Red, what did you like about this movie? Because Troy, did you see Avatar?
Yep.
Chris, you saw Avatar?
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. Okay, so cool. So I'm the only one at the table here that did not see the first Avatar. And
yes, you're the only one here that's boring.
That's true. I am a little boring.
That facts.
Anyway, my darling wife to be, what did you love about this movie?
Well, as the Buddhist hippie vegan that I am, I always love a good protect nature, all energy goes back to the planet type vibe in any story. So
Sure.
that was my big one, I suppose. That's why I wanted to come back so much to see the second movie, and that's why I dragged you to the theater to see it.
Were you part of that support group that needed to, get together with everybody to make sure that were depressed when they left the theater and?
Oh
didn't
shit! I
live in
forgot
Pandora?
about that. Those fucking wusses.
Wait, what?
So this was a real thing back in 2012. There was like a support group founded for people that like became depressed after leaving the theater for Avatar because of how beautiful Pandora was and how unobtainable it is.
They were reeling and like worried about this movie because they thought that they would relapse into wanting to live in Pandora again.
There is a lot to unpack here. I don't think we have the time. Let's move on.
Anyway, that's enough of good things. Troy, I really want to rag on this fucking movie. Can we do that now?
All right. I mean,
Please?
I don't think that I'm super negative on it.
How the fuck do you spend 10 years writing a movie? 10 years as James motherfucking Cameron, and the best idea you have for the bad guy is the old bad guy?
So this is sort of my take on the movie in general.
Somehow Palpatine returned. That's literally the same level.
At least they gave us some explanation behind
They
it.
did give
They
us a
didn't just
plausible explanation.
They didn't just
Sure.
say Qualrich has returned, which is the name of the bad guy.
I didn't even
And
catch his
to
fucking
add on
name.
to that, add on to the fact, Quaritch is probably a really good villain for this.
Yeah,
Like
I
he was
think-
great in the first one, and he does even better this one.
I'm not saying the actor did a bad job, and they did, and when he was on screen being a bad guy, it was good, but like, motherfucker, you couldn't think of a better bad guy than the bad guy from the previous movie?
I sort of him I didn't have a problem with. I thought that he's better in this movie than he was the first one. And that's sort of my whole thing that tracks through this whole movie is I just think that all the stuff that's in this movie I just thought is slightly better than the first one. But the big thing that I did think as soon as the movie started was I was just like, yeah, we're doing humans come down from the sky again and colonize the planet. Like I was hoping when they first announced in Avatar 2, I was like, well, the humans are gone. What are they gonna like do? And they're like, well, we're gonna bring the humans back. And I was like, okay, like it
like-
could have been more.
And that's what
inventive.
kills me. Like you have developed this massive world with all of this lore and all of these things going on. You couldn't think of anything else. Like the animals could revolt. There could be like tribe rivalries. There could be like a new street gang that does jazz in the alleyways, and they're like coming to take over your tribe. Like they could have literally done anything, and the best thing they could come up would be like, "This is a good bad guy. Let's do it again."
Except, hear me out. Instead of mining unobtainium, we're going to hunt whales for an equally unobtainable resource that does magical things.
I feel like they literally made this new substance so that way J.J. Abrams could stop being made fun of for the name unobtainium.
Yeah, I guess so. Or James Cameron.
Yeah,
not
sorry.
JJ.
Okay,
Don't-
but
don't bring
is it
JJ
worse?
into this.
Sorry.
Is it worse to have a resource with a really shitty name, or is it worse to have this crazy substance that does all of this stuff that you mention over 2 hours into your movie and be like, oh, by the way, look at this magical stuff. We're going to do nothing with it. We're not even going to mention it again. This is done now.
It is
$80
wild.
million right here. Next
It is
scene.
wild
I mean,
that they're
it's not-
like, yeah, it makes humans immortal. Moving on.
So,
No,
Like, excuse me?
Yeah,
My-
yeah, that's a big thing to touch on. I do want to state that's not the reason why they came to Pandora.
100%.
No.
They came to Pandora because they fucked up the Earth.
They have like
Again.
3 reasons to come to Pandora, and they don't really talk about any of them. And there's an interesting movie to be had here if you're like, if the humans come back and they're like, listen, we know you kicked us off. We looked around. There's nowhere else to go. We really gotta like stay on this planet. And then there's a discussion to be had, and that's
I
an
mean,
interesting movie.
that's
too.
clearly how the third one ends, right?
I don't know, man.
Because like Cameron said that this is going to be, I think he said trilogy, right?
Yeah, I think he wants to
I
do
believe he
4
did.
of them.
4, a quadrilogy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to join Alien as the only other quadrilogy.
Well, he also did.
They're going to
some
bring
of
back
Alien.
generic Angry Marine Man 4 different times to do these movies, and I'm going to be so upset when they do it.
Yeah, that's right. He's definitely going to be the bad guy in the next
Yeah, he
one because
lives
he
this
didn't
game.
fucking die.
No.
This movie.
This fucking kid had to have a moment of like, oh, it's still my dad. Better bring him back, even though I fucking hate him and I want nothing to do with him.
My guy, you found your humanity
Yeah,
at
that
the
was a
worst
weird
possible
decision.
time. You
Yeah.
could have just been an asshole. It would have been okay. We would have been cheering for you.
Also, I'm almost certain, baby, you took EMT courses. You tell me. I'm almost certain that's not how drowning works.
No, but they
I've
got
never
alien lungs.
responded to a drowning, so I can't really answer that.
There's no way that we're underwater. I choke you out to the point of you passing out. You're on the ground underwater, and then you get brought back up full minutes later, and you're fine without brain damage.
He's got
Yeah,
some pretty
first
bad
of
brain
all,
damage.
go fuck yourself. Absolutely brain damage and water in your lungs. Second of all, now that you bring that up, there's a really big discrepancy between scenes of like, oh, I'm going to be underwater for 15 minutes and apparently be fine, and it's all one deal.
That's my next complaint.
And then the next time it's like, oh my god, I've been under for 2 minutes and I'm going to die. Like,
So-
there's no real, like, I wish I could have had a stopwatch to go back and redo it, because, like, none of them made sense.
It feels like what you have to do is you have to regulate your breathing and your heartbeat to slow your heartbeat so that you consume less oxygen so you can stay under longer. It's
Correct.
kind of what the
That is
sun...
how science works.
That's not how science works, but okay. It seems like... you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the fucking... I forget what Marvel movie it was, where fucking Nick Fury's like, they slowed my heartbeat to 1 beat per minute.
That was Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, and I was like, it's just fucking comic book logic at this point.
It's like my favorite one of all the Marvel movies, but yes, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But like, because the I want to say princess, but she's the daughter of the tribe leader, was trying to explain to the boys, like, you have to slow down your heartbeat, and that's how we stay underwater longer, because we consume less oxygen, we're fine. And then he had to explain it to his dad so that they could get Jake out of the ship, because he was like, go on without me. And I'm like, you don't kill Jake Sully. I didn't see Avatar 1, but
You
I
know
am
what?
watching
Part
Avatar
of me,
2.
part of me wanted him to drown in that moment, legitimately drown, just so I can be like, wow, I didn't see that coming, and I was okay with that.
I
Because so
thought-
much of this movie was, I saw this coming, and here it is.
I thought there was a chance of it. It would have been interesting, and also like they have characters lined up now to be the main character if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
gonna.
Like I for a split second, I was like, you could actually run with this, maybe. Like
One of them's
nope,
played
never
by
mind.
Sigourney Weaver. Like it's fine. Like if you want
Now,
name power,
did she actually perform the role of Kiri, I think, the little girl?
I believe so.
Okay. So she is the Sigourney Weaver's Avatar's daughter.
Yes,
She is the Jesus that was born from her mother in the previous film.
Okay,
Avatar.
cool.
She's the Anakin Skywalker.
I'm sorry if this
Yes.
I'm sorry if this is obvious to you guys. I again didn't watch Avatar 1. That being said, I do want to clarify every bullshit thing I'm saying tonight. I really went into this movie really wanting to love it. I wanted to walk into this movie and then come out saying, wow, Avatar 2 was fucking amazing. I'm going to go home and watch Avatar 1. I wanted to be wrong.
You wouldn't
because-
have believed that if you heard you talking in the car before the movie. But okay, continue.
Shut up. But I really wanted to go into this movie. I really wanted to love it. And I just don't. I gave this movie every benefit of the doubt. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, like, I had to pee, and I'm holding it as long as I can. I look at my watch. We're only an hour into the movie, and I'm like, fuck. All right, so I went and peed, came back, missed nothing, by the way, picked right up, knew exactly what was going on, and I had to pee a second time.
Well, there's a
during
lot
this
of
movie.
water. There's a lot of water, so
I mean,
That's a fair point. That's
sure,
a fair point.
but, like,
Jeff, can I just say, you're full of shit.
for what?
You're saying that this movie drags on. It does not.
It drags on. It outweighs
This
its
movie,
welcome.
this movie is like 3-hour-long episodes of a Netflix series, and it goes by so fast. I didn't have to pee once, and I was chugging soda.
Today I learned that Chris has a superhuman bladder.
I mean,
Because
honestly,
you're
have
wrong, my boy.
I completely disagree.
That is not correct. If the lads will remember the time in 1917, the movie. I had
yeah,
to
the
pee
time
twice.
in 1917 when Chris had to.
Yes, the year.
I will
Chris
honestly.
Back
been
in World
holding
War
his
One,
bladder
I
for
had to pee so
105
much.
years.
His resolution for 2023 is he's going to pee.
He's got to get through like a quarter-sized kidney stone by now. Jesus Christ.
I will honestly say there were points in this movie where I was like, we have to be near the halfway point, right? Check my watch. Nope, no fucking way. And then it's like,
Shut
okay,
up,
so like
Jeff.
we got to wrap up soon, right? Check my watch. No way. I know this is a 3-hour movie. I'm not kidding. This movie felt like it lasted forever. I know you guys felt like it didn't.
That's
and
because you didn't
great.
want to be there because you don't give movies a chance.
Fuck you. I don't give movies a chance. I do a movie podcast, motherfucker. I give every movie a chance. I gave Cats a chance.
Yeah, let me tell you, that was a major mistake on your part.
To be fair, Chris, they saw it in an inferior, not IMAX, not 3D.
There we go.
You know, his eyes were not, you know,
Pause. This is a gripe that I have with movies. If you insist that the only way to watch your movie is IMAX or 3D, it's not a good movie. I should be able to watch it standard and have just as good of an experience.
I hate to break it to you, that's what Avatar is. So James Cameron's like, it's a visual masterpiece, and then moves on.
I enjoyed the visuals.
There's two good points here. It is a visual masterpiece. You're absolutely right. And all of this time and effort and work was put into it for it to be a visual masterpiece. Yet at the same time, if I'm watching it at a standard theater and I'm not enjoying it, that's not the only problem here. You put so much effort into one side of your art and not the actual story or something else that is driving the performance forward. I mean, like, if I see it in a regular theater as opposed to IMAX and I'm not enjoying it on the clear level that Chris is, for example, there's some disconnect between what needed more effort to be put into it.
I mean, and you can kind of say this about James Cameron. James Cameron is like one of the best directors. End of sentence.
I'm not trashing on Cameron. Cameron's a good guy.
Well, no, but like I'm saying, like, if you think about the movies that he's made that are like the biggest, greatest movies of all time, it's like Terminator 2, Aliens, like Titanic. None of these are, well, Titanic's maybe the outlier, but like none of these are like big, sprawling, like crazy stories or anything. I mean, Titanic's even kind of a little basic with it, but like Titanic's the most story out of all of it. But like there's a lot of them that are like big action set pieces, and like Terminator 2, I don't think anybody's like, Terminator 2 is a writing masterpiece. Everybody's like, I love it when Arnold fucking shoots the liquid guy. Yeah. I like it when Sigourney Weaver shoots all of those aliens.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what...
And I loved it when the kids swam with the whales, and I loved it when they were fucking shooting at all the human people.
And those movies that I've said are like better than this movie, I think. But like it is like a whole thing of like James Cameron has never been known for like being the writing guy.
Yeah. And again, to James's credit and to the credit of the film, whenever most of this film is just straight up CGI, I felt like a lot of it wasn't. There was a good, like, when they're walking around that, like, village with the trampoline walkways and the water and all that stuff, it
You're
felt...
like, yeah, they got blue people and they filmed this.
Yeah, I was like, that felt real. It really did look incredible. Good job, James Cameron. I'll give you a little 3-second round of applause there.
Yeah, we always knew that James Cameron had it in to make a good movie, I think.
Yeah, I called it first back in 1970 Dickie 4, before I was born.
Back there in
That's
1970 Dickie 4.
19 Dickety 4.
Also, I looked.
So to bring it back to that
Here
main
he
point,
is
Jeff,
again.
you do not need to watch this movie in IMAX. We're just making fun of you because you didn't.
Sure, and I also don't want to pay $30 to see a movie that I don't know if I'm gonna love or not. Like, I'm not about, and I know Troy was like, "Oh, I'll pay for tickets." No, fuck that. It's the principle of the thing. All right, movie tickets are already expensive. I'm already paying $15 a head to go see a movie on a fucking screen. I'm not paying double that because you insist I have to see it that way.
Also, you'll be very upset by an actual James Cameron statement that he made like a little bit before this movie came out.
Please enlighten me.
When he revealed the length of the movie, and people started complaining about it, he was just like, I don't want to hear any complaining about the length of the movie when people sit down and binge watch whole TV shows. And then he went, and if you get up and have to go to the bathroom, that's fine. Just catch the moments that you missed on your second viewing.
Oh, fuck you forever.
Balls on this man.
Uno reverse. Fuck
I gotta,
James
give him,
Cameron.
I gotta give him props for that.
It wasn't like an ironic, like he was like straight up like, yeah, just watch it on the second time you watch the movie because you're going to, and it's just like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
It's a different level of self-righteous. I respect it.
I'm perfectly happy with long movies. I just want to be able to pause them to pee. Like, the Batman was incredible. The last 20 minutes, I really had to pee. Like, it hurt. I had to pee so much. I thought I might piss my
And that
pants.
has much less water than this movie.
Yeah.
And 1917 was fucking amazing, and I had to pee twice.
I sat next to Dee when we went to see the Batman, and we thought we were going to piss ourselves, but that's just because that we were drinking in the theater and laughing at how much Jeff was involved in things that we were like making fun of in the moment as it was happening.
Yeah, you guys were kind of dicks.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Well, this is
And I watched 1917, and I had to pee twice. And I hated the fact that I had to pee twice, because that movie's awesome.
That movie is awesome. It was a really good movie. Unlike Avatar 2. Avatar 2 was fine.
It's fine.
I'm not going to say this is a bad movie. I'm not going to say don't see it. I mean, go see it.
If you see it, you will, get some enjoyment out of it.
Also,
it's not the best movie of the year. But
movie's already fucking made more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
You don't need me to tell you to go see it.
yeah, and boycotting it does nothing either. I mean, not that you boycott it
Yeah.
for any reason, but...
No,
And the third one's already filmed.
yeah, allegedly the third one's already, like, in post-production. So,
Yeah,
it'll be out soon.
So, I read some stats. From filming, they have about 9 hours worth of footage.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's not...
And they need to cut that down to another 3-hour movie.
That's not atypical.
Psych, they're going to make it 5 hours this time.
I mean, usually, you have, an extra, hour at most. You don't get 9, usually.
Unless you're Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well, sure. Well, he did
Or
have
James
that
Cameron.
and then filmed it later.
Or you're Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Well, also true.
Yeah. Plenty to do there. All right. Enough of me just bitching, because I'll find more to bitch about later, I'm sure, and I'll butt in. Troy, what did you hate about this movie?
What did I dislike about the two oil rig whale hunting guys? The
Scientist
guy
and then the Australian guy?
Yeah, they're insufferable characters.
God, I fucking hated them.
I did not want them around for one more second.
Also,
but hey,
here's the
how
thing.
about that Schadenfreude when what happened to them in the end?
I
So,
love how the one guy died.
This
because
was
it
a complaint
miserable.
that my fiance brought up as soon as we left the theater, was that every fight scene up to that point felt like a pussy bitch fight.
100%.
And then you have this guy gets his fucking arm severed in a boat explosion.
We literally slapped each other on the thigh like, oh my god, that just happened. What?
Holy shit!
Completely out of left field. I was here for it, don't get me wrong. But everything up to that point felt like it was just pulling punches. So they had that
there was
one
no,
reaction,
blood, there was
bam.
But yeah, that guy loses his arm. In front of me was two people with their 3 kids, and these were kids under 8 years old.
Oh no.
And there was a couple of those in my theater too.
And you could tell at the moment they were sort of maybe this was the wrong but it was 2.5 hours into the movie at that point.
Exactly. And then you have about half an hour after that where the fucking kid has the one F word of the PG-13 movie.
Sure.
Where he's like, fuck. And then I watched a woman in front of me visibly gasp. And I was like, dude, what? They've said shit 1 million times in the last 20 minutes.
Actually, I have a thing to say about shit. This kid, Jake Sully's younger son, his response to everything bad
You can
is,
just say his only son now.
well,
Because the other one died.
well,
Not true, because he adopted the other son.
Spider?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake Sully's son versus Jake Sully's feral child that he took in.
Yeah, his Mad Max wild child.
Who has not heard what a shirt is.
Dude, that kid was naked most of this film. I swear to God, he better be over 18.
I have you seen that kid? I don't think so. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, but his younger son, where's it going? Oh, every bad reaction he has to everything, every time something bad happens, he always says shit, and it's have you ever met somebody who's really bad at cursing?
Yes.
He is really bad at cursing, and that's the only curse word he knows. And he specifically says shit maybe 4 or 5 times in this movie, and every single one of them makes it sound like he's awkward and looking around to make sure his dad's not around.
Do you want to feel old, Troy and Chris?
Go for it.
And I
Yes.
guess you too, Red. Jack Champion, who plays Spider in Avatar
What a
The
champ.
Way of Water, was born November 16th, 2004. That kid
Okay.
is...
What year is it?
That kid is younger than Attack of the Clones.
Oh my god.
But
Oh,
also,
yeah.
but also
yeah.
that means
That
that
kid
he's
is
like
younger
18
than Shrek.
But hold on, that also means that he's like 18, 19, right?
19, yeah.
Yeah.
The actor, sure.
But no, I'm just saying that like he said 2004.
Or he'll be 19 this year. He's 18.
Right.
Okay, wait, question mark. He'll be 19 this year, he's 18? When was this filmed?
Oh, yeah, he just turned 18 like 2 months ago.
Well, they were saying that this film was going to release in like 2018 at one point, and that didn't
So my
happen.
boy was like 15, 16.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Regardless. It was
I
weird
just want to say,
having-
there's no nudity of Spider.
There's
Sure.
no nudity,
He's
but
just-
it felt weird having him like Tarzaning around the place.
Yeah, and the fact that
Yeah.
like for most of the movie you see up to like half an inch of like almost half an inch of his ass crack, you know, like within there's only like an inch of strip of fabric. Like
Listen, for plenty of this movie, you are going to see this actor shirtless,
Yep.
and
You said
it'll
his
be
name was-
weird.
You said his name was what? Jack Champion?
That is his birth name. Yes,
What
sir.
a fucking cool ass name.
what
Yeah.
what a porn star name, Jack Champion.
I mean, honestly though,
Is-
yeah, he's in the wrong line of work.
He's
Where's
the
the
jacking
leak, ma'am?
champion.
Dude, his Twitter handle is Jack the Champ. Come
Bruh,
on.
come
I
on.
mean, if your last name is Champion, you have to like lean into it. If you start getting pissed off about jokes about your last name being Champion, fuck you.
Dude, for real, like you can't. I bet you $1 million growing up in L.A., everyone called him Champ.
It's the same energy as Donald Glover being Dong Lover on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. I do love me some dong.
Fantastic.
Anyway, you said you hated the profanity use of the younger son because all he said was
I
shit.
didn't really hate it. It was just a thing that I noticed for sure.
It was,
the thing
it was
that
awkward.
The thing that I was really not about was that like Australian whale hunting guy. He just was not a enjoyable character for me.
That was a strange fit in general with the rest of what was going on.
Yeah.
See this here? $80 million.
I'm
It's
gonna
also
drop
like,
it.
Also, like, it's 2,000 years in the future. I have no idea what inflation is like. Is that a lot? Is that a little?
Yeah, 80 million could be
That's
like
actually a fair point. I didn't
80
even consider
million
that.
could be pocket change for all I fucking know.
good-
There's no
that's a
way it's
really
been
good point.
2,000 years and 80 million is still equivalent to 2022's 80 million.
And really, it should have been more than 80 million because they probably wrote that line before all of the post-COVID inflation.
Yeah, right? Like 80 million today.
80 million's
Hey,
not what it
hey,
used to be, kiddos.
Hey, also, even if it's 2022, 2023, and you have a substance that makes humans immortal, it's probably more than 80 million already.
Yeah. Fuck it. 80 million for that whole jar, and that's like multiple doses? Like, there's no way that's one dose. There's no way you pour that into a Gatorade bottle and just tell a guy to chug.
No, you have to chug this entire container of whale brain. All at once. $80 million on the table right now.
But you get to
I
live
wonder
forever.
what it tastes like. Guys, what do you think whale brain juice tastes like?
It tastes like the nectar that they ate in Peacemaker, the butterflies.
Oh.
Boom, there you
But
go.
what
Okay, what does that taste like?
It tastes like honey mixed with maple syrup. It's gotta be like super, super sweet and sticky.
Okay. So, like, drizzle some whale brains on your
on your
waffles in
morning's
the morning?
waffles. Yeah. Or like you get a bowl of Cheerios, just add a little bit of whale brain at the top. There you go. Top you off. Keep you looking youthful.
I feel like it's a good thing that I don't remember what the name was, but like I'm glad that they gave it a name that wasn't just whale brains.
No, they did call it something, but they only said it once, so I don't remember.
Yeah, and they only really referred to it once, so
Yeah. It was
But again, the fact
I
that that
don't
was a
remember them
throwaway
naming it.
situation was gross. Like,
so it was a throwaway situation, which makes me think: is that a setup for the next movie?
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's secretly set for the next movie. Not
I
secretly.
think they're just getting into like the the economics of what they're doing on Pandora. Like that guy has to be hunting them for some reason. I mean,
For the
they're not
whale
taking
brain.
the meat. Yeah, but I mean, it was either the whale brain juice or they're hunting them for meat.
It's just weird. It's just weird that they took that opportunity to be like, and it makes you immortal.
Yeah, you just stop aging when you take this.
So here's my thing with this. I feel like leaving a couple of questions unanswered is kind of an art, especially since you already know, the audience already knows, everybody knows we're going to get another movie following the events of this movie. But like, I felt like there were so many unanswered questions by the end of this movie. It almost felt, I don't know, underprepared. I don't want to say sloppy, but like, You could have given me so much more than what you did, but you focused on other aspects instead.
It
I was
feels
upset
like
about
there
it.
was a lot of loose ends at the end of this movie, and
Yes.
I don't know if I enjoyed that.
I don't know if I was okay with it. Yes.
Because, like, an example, Dark Knight leaves a lot of loose ends, but they do it really well to where you're excited for Dark Knight Rises, and then you go and see Dark Knight Rises, and then you're really sad that you went and saw it.
That movie.
Thank you.
No, but yeah,
I very rarely make my wife laugh out loud, so thank you. That was good.
You
Yeah, no, but
hallucinated that it didn't happen.
Dark Knight
I
does
have it
like
on recorded.
Dark Knight does like end, and Dark Knight even could have like ended with just be like, and now he's Two-Face, and then like the movie ends. But like they do like they're like, no, we should wrap up that too. Like it's all the loose end stuff is just like stuff Christopher Nolan sitting there later just like, oh yeah, that guy's still out there. Oh yeah, Scarecrow's still alive. Like stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't really go past that.
It's like
Yeah.
some season 8 Game of Thrones shit. Like there's so many just threads hanging out there.
And then instead of tying them off, they just snip them. There's like, nope, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Jamie had a redemption arc. No, he didn't. He goes back to Cersei.
You say that, I am now very excited to see what the final Avatar movie will look like.
I'm really, really curious. If the final Avatar movie does not adequately tie up loose ends, it could be like fucking terrible. It's still gonna make $1 billion. Who are we kidding?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that there's anybody, as far as like it being a franchise goes, there's not a whole lot of people who like look at Avatar and goes, this is like Lord of the Rings to me, right? Like it I feel like there's not going to be a ton of people who they get to like the 4th or 5th Avatar movie, and if it doesn't wrap up that great, I don't think that people are really going to be like, and this ruined this entire thing. I think that people are just going to be like, okay, and the last Avatar was also like slightly above average, or slightly below average, depending. But like, I really just want it to be like, I would love if it was just like 4 or 5 like real mid movies, and then something like just a flop at the end. That would be interesting.
You want? I want it actually Game of Thrones.
I either want it to get really good, because obviously you want things to be good, or I really want the last one to be fucking wild.
I believe historically the last movies of franchises, with very few exceptions, are usually the least well reviewed, right? As far as like,
it depends, yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking like Terminator, but that's a different story. That's got dragged out.
Well,
way
Terminator
too long.
also never has an end because they will make them forever.
Sure. Game of Thrones flopped.
Also James Cameron.
Game of Thrones flopped at the end. Fucking Dark Knight trilogy flopped at the end, depending on who you ask. But either way, Dark Knight was the better of the 3 movies. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Alien 3 was fucking garbage.
That's
Alien 4 was
another
worse.
that's another one where they're like, well, that can't be the last one, and then they have not made a good one since.
Well, it's not that. With 4, I think, is still definitively the last one. I think every movie since has been a prequel. Covenant took place, like, 100 years before with the Weyland-Yutani incident?
Yeah, Covenant is before, Prometheus is before,
Prometheus
obviously.
was before as well, yeah. So,
Yeah,
and I think that's it. Since
I mean, but same thing with Terminator, really. Like, Terminator keeps going either forward or back in time, and because it's all time travel, it's hard to say what's a prequel and what's not. But
fair enough. But it's hard to. It's hard.
Terminator Salvation, who also has Sam Worthington, who is Jake Sully.
What?
Yeah, Terminator Salvation, the 4th Terminator movie. It's Jake Sully. It was around the same time as it was a little bit before or after.
Okay, in my brain, I thought you literally meant Jake Sully was in Terminator.
No, Sam Worthington.
And I was like, hold the fuck
him
on.
in the blue suit.
Yeah, I was like, hold the fuck on, Cameron. What are you doing?
That would be awesome.
No, it wouldn't.
Also, he didn't
They
have
just
anything.
fucking
All he
Photoshop
had-
him into the scenes.
That was when James Cameron wasn't even working on Terminator movies.
We're going really hard into the crossovers that nobody asked for or wanted right now.
Yeah, it's really, really
Yeah,
bad.
tune into the TB&J podcast where we talk about Terminator Salvation.
Chris, we haven't really talked to you about stuff you hated. What did you dislike about Avatar: The Way of Water?
I don't think this movie had good stakes. Like, the entire
What
purpose
about
of
Wings?
this movie... Shut the fuck up. The entire purpose of this movie was Jake running away from his problems.
Yeah.
And a small fraction of his problems followed him in the form of Quaritch hunting him. But, like, they don't deal with the rest of the humans. They don't deal like a super huge blow with them. They destroy a single whaling boat.
Yeah, humanity at large is still out there. That old-ass lady general person is still out there hunting down Jake Sully.
It wasn't even like a major military item. It was an industrial item.
That is true. The first
they basically threw a Molotov at a forklift and called it a day.
There's like there's 6 like trained soldiers there.
And the rest are just like the crew on the
guards,
ship.
with guns. But yeah, like the first, that is true. The first movie is like a fight against humanity, and they kick them all off the planet at the end of it. They
liberate their planet. They make it safe for them to have a family, and then humanity comes back, which is a whole fucking thing. But also, they also said, we're going to ignore all the characters that we focused on up until this point and explore a whole bunch of new characters in the form of the new tribe. So, like, the scientist guys from the first movie, they make they're in like a couple scenes.
It's almost a cameo appearance.
A couple lines of dialogue, and they don't really touch on a whole lot.
They also do big swaths of this movie without Jake or Neytiri in it. Like the first one's really all Jake. That's because that's like part of Jake's origin story. Yeah,
of course it's gonna be about him.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Don't say Jake's origin story like he's gonna be a staple of like multimedia fighting games or some shit. I don't want Jake Sully.
Oh, Jake
to
Sully
be a
is
staple.
as the DLC for Mortal Kombat 12.
It's Warner Brothers. Do they have a stake in
No, this is
Cameron?
Disney.
Okay, good. Be gone with you. I don't want you tainting any of my multimedia enjoyments. Fuck out of here with your shit.
Yeah, no, Warner Brothers hasn't done that to you at all already.
Listen,
they're making a second video game for Avatar.
Wait,
what?
There was a video game?
Yeah, for the Xbox 360.
I did know that there's a video game, like a bad movie tie-in game.
Okay. Like the King
What is
Kong.
this
I mean,
second one?
admittedly, it wasn't an awful game. It was fun.
Okay, I don't know anything about it.
I didn't know there was one, so that beats me.
I feel like they don't do like movie tie-in games like that anymore.
I'm actually surprised they haven't done an Avatar experience in like, I guess it's no longer Oculus, but the MetaQuest, where you can just like walk around Pandora or like climb trees and shit. Why is that not a thing?
I thought that there was like an Avatar thing for a second.
Because that'll incense that one support group, and then people will be depressed again.
Yeah.
They'll never take off their headsets. It'll be like WALL-E all over again.
They'll be in their house, headset on, with like halfway through a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Jesus Christ.
It'll just be a sorry sight.
Sitting in a dark room with just leftover cold, moldy takeout sitting on the floor from various boxes.
I did when I left the theater. I was texting our friend Caitlin, friend of the show, about how I felt about the movie and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's better than the last one, but like, you know, it's Avatar. It's pretty basic. It looks beautiful, whatever. And then I sent immediately after that, I do not need a support group because I'm going back out of Pandora. Like, it was my immediate next text.
So one of our cats has decided to grace my presence on my desk and just like rubbed all up on the microphone.
Good cat.
Oh, lovely. We'll get that Foley work in there.
Good cat.
Yeah.
Hi, Dexter.
Ignoring Chris's cat, baby, have I already asked you what you hated about the movie?
No, I always come last for some reason. Anyway,
I'll give you a rim shot. That was a good burn.
Troy kind of touched on this a little bit. I understand they had a lot of new characters that they wanted to bring onto the screen and like have more attention drawn into them for their character development, but I feel like there's a lot of really strong characters that were in this that didn't get as much screen time as they should have, or at least is not as many meaningful scenes as they should have. Like, Neytiri is an excellent example, where, like, we already saw in the first movie, not that you'd know, Neytiri's a bad bitch. Like, she gets it done. She's a warrior. She's emotional. Like, she's such a passionate person to have on any of these scenes.
I saw that briefly when they're looking at the footage of the Colonel's death the first time, when she shoots him like through the chest twice with the arrows.
Yeah, she's the one who kills him
Also,
the first time.
I will give a highlight to Avatar when Na'vi Colonel picks up his human skull and just crushes it like it's nothing to him. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of cool to just crush your own skull in your new evolved hand. Anyway, continue, baby. I'm sorry.
I just felt like that was weird. I didn't know how I felt about that. But like, so you already see, like, that's a great example, like, from that flashback. Like, she's a bad bitch, and like, she's such a strong character. But like, I feel like for this one, it was very much like it started with her being super emotional about her home being destroyed. I get that, you know. And then you have a couple scenes here and there as like, be nicer to your son. This isn't a squad. This is a family. Okay. And then they come to this new tribe, and then she just, like, drops off the face of the planet for, what, like an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see any development with her trying to integrate into the tribe, trying to meet new people, trying to do any new skills, learn any new things. Like, the only
She kinda took a
impression...
back seat.
Exactly. The
Straight
only
to the-
impression that I can take from that is that she's like, I'm here and I don't want to be, and I'm upset about it. Like, there was nothing done with her. All you ever see with her is just hanging around the house, doing whatever chore she's doing. But, like, there was no real development there. I feel like there was so much lost potential.
And straight up, like, in the final fight, when everybody's riding around new animals that they learned how to ride the whole movie, she is on the same animal as the last movie.
Yeah. And I feel like she's...
Wow, that's a really good point. She had, like, no development.
She's playing to her strengths, which is great, but like she was such a good character and you did very little
She's-
with her.
she's
The only
probably the best character in
reason
the first
they
one.
brought her back onto the screen for an extended amount of time was like, oh, time for her to be a bad bitch again because shit's hitting the fan. Like, I didn't really get enough of Natiri as, like, I don't want to say as a human being because that's not the right term, but like as a person, as a character.
Probably one of the coolest scenes in the movie is when the oldest son does die, and he's like, okay, I need you to be strong, I need you to do this now, and like you see her face like drop, and then you see her walk over to the like the dragon thing, I don't know what they're called, and she just gets on it, and there's like fire in the background, and she just flies off with like no motion.
Yo, that went hard though, but like that's my point.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
And but he's like, I need you to help me with this now. They have our kids, and she's like crying, and then stops crying, and then it's just like there's no emotion on her face, and she's just like, I'm going to go kill people now, and gets on the dragon and flies away, and I'm like, okay.
I will give it a plus. One of the things I hate in movies is when a character has a fatal wound and their death is drawn out way beyond like a reasonable time.
Mm-hmm.
This kid was mid-sentence and just fucking clocked it. He just zeroed. He flatlined. He was gone mid-sentence, and I was like, oh, fuck, that's awesome.
I respected that.
Sad, but awesome.
I was weirdly happy with that. Like, first of all,
It was a
thought
pleasant surprise.
I thought they were playing with us because I didn't think they were going to kill one of the kids. I really didn't.
Right.
So the fact that they did, and they did it that quickly,
If you had
surprised the
asked
shit out of
me
me.
at the,
I thought they
when
were
the
going to
boat-
kill a parent.
If you had asked me, I would
Yeah.
have said they would have killed a kid and a parent.
I thought they were going to kill Natiri.
I had money on a kid dying and a parent dying. I was Natiri and the younger son.
I mean, they also play into the fact for later movies that like Natiri might be also a little fucked up. Like,
I mean, like you just brought up with like the face just drops. I'm gonna go kill people. That's a trauma response that I'm here
Yes.
for. And at least she knows how to work it. But like,
but like now there's a whole movie where it's like, yes, you're now our son, Spider, the child I almost killed.
Yeah,
that's an interesting dynamic now.
She never really liked Spider. Like, in the beginning, she's like, he doesn't belong here. He needs to go be with humans.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I did hate that I forgot to mention earlier is when they have that whole scene where she fucking threatens him
Yep.
as a hostage, and then he just goes back to that family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if my mom held a knife to my throat, I don't think I'd go back to her very eagerly.
No.
I think he interpreted it as her doing what she had to get through the moment. But like, I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching the scene, I could not, for the life of me, tell if she was bluffing or not. I was like, she might really kill
I don't
this
think
dude
she was
right now.
bluffing.
Like, I could see it in her eyes. Like, she's ready to do it.
I think she would have killed that kid.
Yeah, I think she absolutely would have. And then, like, there's a scene right before that where, like, she's murdering the guards and screaming, and he sees her and he's terrified and hides from her.
It also is a whole thing of it.
He knows she's a bad bitch.
It seemed like it affected him when he watched the footage in the beginning of the movie where he saw her kill his dad.
Yep.
It was like a whole thing of like slowly throughout the movie he's like, oh, maybe she's a little fucked up. Like,
Yeah, maybe
then-
this woman doesn't have my best interests at heart.
yeah, but again, it will make for an interesting next movie. Like that's the sort
Yes.
of the feeling I'm getting.
I'm curious if there's going to be any sort of a time jump between the movies, and he's suddenly like a little bit more grown up, and they're a little bit older. The sons and daughters are a little bit older, or if it's just going to be like fucking Dark Knight Rises, where it's like literally the next day Harvey Dent's funeral kind of thing.
Avatar 3 unpacking unfamiliar family dynamics.
It turns into like a sitcom. Everybody loves
It's a
Jake
fucking
Sully.
therapy show.
The whole thing is just a therapy session where everybody sits in a nice, well-lit room.
They have like a fixed camera one shot of like a living room space.
It's always sunny in Pandora.
And then they have one camera for like the office side, like the little office shots where you just look at the camera and be like,
They
There's
call
a-
those talking headshots.
There's
Yeah.
a laugh track.
Fucking laugh track. Jake walks through the door. He's wearing like a tie and he has a briefcase, but the rest of him is still normal. And he's like, "Honey, I'm home."
Woo!
oh my god.
All I want is Avatar with a laugh track and studio audience now. It'd be my
I
favorite.
mean, we can edit that if we're good at things.
I am.
It could just be like hopelessly mundane, like Natira, you burnt the dinner, and then there's like the whole audience like, ooh.
It would be
He's sleeping on the couch tonight.
Sleeping on the bushes.
Do they own furniture? I don't want to get into this. I asked a question I didn't want to know the answer to.
It was sort of interesting how I'm not getting into that, but
Please, thank you.
it is interesting though where when they first make it to like the water tribe and integrate into their new home. Before that, they were literally an insurgent group living in caves, and then they were like, he's like, "Hey, look, this is our new home. Nice, isn't it?" And they're like. And they like drop it on the ground. They like yell and they're like, "This is disgusting." And I'm like, "It looks way better than a fucking cave." Like I don't understand what you want.
They were in a cave, but they had like huts, kind of thing. They
But
had a roof.
It didn't.
I mean, before that, they were living in a literal tree,
yeah.
and then it got burned down.
I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like the standards are really weird here. I felt like it was a nice looking little shack.
You know, I
They
mean,
were upset, but you
in
know.
today's housing market, that's a value right there. You can't beat that. What
that's
kind of
$1,200 rent?
What kind of APR you got on that? You got like a fucking 3% in this market. That's fucking gold. You are mint if you've got a 3%
What was the
mortgage
square
on
footage
anything.
on that hut?
Hey, I got a guy. He'll do a walk around inspection before you finish that down payment. All right, just let my guy do his little walk around. He'll make sure to check the baseboards for termites.
It is prone to flooding.
God damn it.
It's gonna be a bitch to get flood insurance out here. I tell you what.
Do we have anything else to say about this movie?
No, I think it's time for letter grades. So, since you're not familiar, my darling fiance, this was Dee's brilliant idea. But letter grades, traditional to schooling.
Does T have brilliant ideas?
Every once in a while. He had the brilliant idea a while ago to loan me money when I needed it. So he's a great guy. Anyway, so letter grades. How about we go in order of thumbs? Red, how did you feel about this movie? What
Just
letter grade?
Audience, it was just because he was called out. Because
A, B, C, D,
doing
F.
last-
You can give a plus or a minus if you're feeling it.
I think I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give it a B-. Was it a good movie? Yes. Would I take the time to watch it again? Probably not.
It is a hell of a time commitment.
It is.
It's if you have cable and TNT is playing it and you don't really have anything else going on, it's an okay movie in the background.
I mean, the runtime says 3 hours 12, but like once you factor in ads before the movie, driving time to get there, you know, like
It was almost 4 hours of my day.
we walked in the movie theater at 4:30. We didn't walk out until 8:40. Like it was 4 hours 10 minutes of my day that I will not get back. But it's fine. It's all for the craft. Troy, you're next.
I'm gonna give it probably around a similar like B-ish grade.
B-ish.
I'm gonna say B- just for consistency.
You don't have to be consistent.
Troy, you need to be consistent.
I'm gonna
Troy,
go
you
B-
don't have a choice. You need to be consistent.
I'll be B-.
Peer pressure. Peer
I'll be
pressure.
Peer
B-
pressure.
because it is like there's weird additions to it. I don't think that it dragged on the way you said it did, but there are parts in the middle where we're like, okay, he's going back to the whale again. Okay, we're learning how to ride animals longer now. And then at the end, like the fight scene is really long.
Yeah.
And it is cool. Like I think all the fight choreography is really cool. But like there is a lot of it. It is like an hour of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the end game fight scene, but also I care about the end game characters more.
Also, that movie was only like what, 2 hours and change?
Yeah,
It wasn't
around,
anywhere
It
near
wasn't near
3.
this, but it was almost 3 hours.
I don't think it was.
Endgame, I believe, was. I think I could. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. It wasn't this movie.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Endgame runtime 3 hours 2 minutes.
Oh, all right. So it's only 10 minutes shorter.
Huh.
But they preload it with boring stuff. And I like Endgame.
Endgame had a lot to wrap up, though.
Yes. Like I said, it's 2 movies versus 20 movies. So
Yeah, they've had a lot of backlog of character development and things to work with.
yeah. But yeah, I really punch down a lot at the whaling guy, but I do punch up a grade for crab mechs. I like the crab mechs.
The crab mechs bought a letter grade.
Yeah. I think whaling guy moves it down to a C. Crabs bring it back up to a B minus. Final answer.
Chris, what are you feeling?
I'm gonna give it an A minus. I really enjoyed this movie, and when the next one comes out, I will go see it in theaters, regardless on if we cover it or not.
A for Avatar.
We're probably gonna fucking see it. Let's be real. I am gonna give this a C.
Makes sense.
Straight middle of the road C. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't. I didn't not enjoy myself.
Sure.
But that's the best thing I can say about it.
It feels very crafted to be a fully likable movie, and the last one was too.
Sure.
It's very similar to like a Force Awakens, where it's just like nobody really left that movie being like, I hated my experience watching this movie.
My brother-in-law hated Force Awakens.
No, I know that there's people.
He walked out of that movie theater visibly angry, and he said, "What the fuck was that? That was just New Hope again."
Are we talking about my brother?
Yes.
Oh my god, dude. He was so mad about that movie.
We talked about this over Christmas. I don't know how it came up, but Gordon got like really animated, and he was like, "Fuck Force Awakens! Oh my fucking god, what a waste of time!" And I was like, "Gordon, calm down, bro. Jesus, man."
But
he hated it so much he never bothered watching 8 or 9.
Damn. But for the general public, I feel like it was the safest movie and I feel like this is other than being 3 hours long. I feel like it's pretty safe.
Yeah, it's pretty safe. All right,
But watch out for that one fuck that they put in there. That might make you gasp.
Make or break.
So 2 B minuses, a C, and an A minus. I think that gives us a B average.
Makes sense to me.
So about a B.
Yeah.
I won't check your work, but
it's hard to average letters that don't have numerical values.
you were saying
assign them numerical values.
Chris, that sounds like math. Why are you giving me math homework?
D did suggest number grades at first, and I changed it to letter grades because I like letter grades better.
Yeah, numbers suck. I hate them.
We should get rid of numbers.
Yeah, just get rid of numbers. Who needs math?
Whales.
Well, I guess I'll find a new line of work.
Yeah, go for it. All right, that concludes this episode of the podcast. And would you look at that? We're under an hour. I think that's a first for us for a movie pod.
For a 3-hour movie.
For a 3-hour fucking movie.
You can listen to this 3 times while you're watching Avatar.
If you liked us, please leave us a kind review on your favorite podcasting platform. Give us 5 stars, all that fun stuff. You can hit us up at the linky doos in the description because I put them there. And Troy and Chris, do you know what today is?
January 2nd.
Today is the 2nd. But today, as of the publishing of this episode, is the
January 3rd.
Do you know what that is for us?
3 days before the insurrection.
It is
2 days before my birthday.
It is the 3-year anniversary of this podcast.
Jeff, I'm going to need you to bleep that part out. Nobody can know any personal information about me. Just bleep out the day that I say.
While we're on the topic, I want to put this out for the general audience. If I had known when I first met you and I started dating you that you ran a podcast, I don't know if I would have gone on that date. But he didn't tell me,
That's
so
fair.
Here we are. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
This is why you're not on the podcast more often.
But it is. You're correct. It's the anniversary of the podcast. That's what you're trying to get to.
Happy birthday, TB&J. We are 3 years old.
We're about to walk. We're starting to walk.
Yeah, we're saying
God,
our first words.
It's
You'd
been
be
3 years.
developmentally delayed if you're just now
Yeah,
getting to that.
it's really easy to remember because I had the great idea to start a podcast where I went out to the movies every week about 2 months before the pandemic hit.
Huh.
Oof.
What do you think the TB&J podcast's first words are?
Cats.
I mean, historically, I believe Rise of Skywalker, I think.
Well, those weren't the first words. You didn't start a podcast going "Rise of Skywalker" and then continue doing the move.
No, it probably went "Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TB&J podcast."
Yeah, I just feel like if we're a baby, we should have like a
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TB&J podcast.
No,
tepid?
no. Nixing it. No. Vetoed.
What about tepid?
Oh, would you look at that? It's the ending music. Weird.
Troy, I feel like we're getting cut off. Do you feel cut off?
I feel cut off every week.
I feel like we're getting cut off.
Oh, look at that. My magic mute buttons.
I'm just gonna apologize in advance because my cat started to meow during my recording.
Yes, we heard it. Yes, I'm leaving it in.
Fifth
Okay,
member
cool.
of the podcast. Fifth host.
TB&J and Pussy.
Dexter, what do you think about
It works
No.
for
Avatar
for
2?
D
You
and
didn't see it.
the cat.